panic disorder, rage, severe depression. On top of all that, I'm stressing. Took a blind date to my therapy session and then tried to kill her. Her first impression was I'm groovy, I need a lumbotomy. But when I press play, trouble leaves up out of me. Fuck the real world and my fat ass stuck in. Cause in my music, hotties are fucking expression, getting out all I wrote. Depression, ripping out all your throat. And if my hearing was ever to go, mass murder would be inevitable.
Welcome back to another episode of Maniacal Music Musings. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, and you could say I'm a raven child, just trying to spread my wings and fly through this terrain we call the Earth. It's all about the starlight and alchemy of this Earth and how it comes together that makes us. It really is. Now, I didn't take any lavender yet today, but maybe eventually I will before I go to bed. Or maybe I'll just wait and bleed so I can spit it out. You know, it's all how the way it goes. But let me, of course, introduce my co-host. He is a very special man. He's surfing as we speak, trying to get ready for the show. He's liberated, and he's just dying to open that book of shallows and unleash the maniac inside. Motherfucking Chancy Grife.
Hi.
Yes. And listeners and watchers, today we have a special episode for you. I'll explain in a little bit why it's going to be so special, but I will say this. Our guest today, I'm very excited to have. Our guest is Rick DellaRatta, and I hope I said that right. But
yes, very good.
Yes, I'm Italian, so I would hope I could get it working. But,
yeah, excellent.
But Rick is a jazz pianist, a vocalist, composer, and so much more. But first things first, before we get into everything he is, how you doing tonight, Rick?
Pretty good, thanks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for inviting me. It's a very unique hour we're having here.
Oh, it is going to be unique because, folks, usually our guests bring an album that inspired them or that they love, or their own album even. We've had that happen before. But this week, me and Sir Chance-a-Lot brought our own albums, and our guest is going to do a little improvisation to try to match our albums in his own style, which, honestly, when Rick told me this idea, I was ecstatic because I was like, that sounds like such a cool thing that we haven't done before that it might make this episode a little different for everybody, and I'm excited about that. So we'll see how that goes. But first things first, well, let me ask you this, Rick. What got you into playing music to begin with?
Basically what really got me into it was a giant thing came into the house on Christmas Eve that I thought was brought in by Santa Claus. And it turned out they were trying to get a piano through the front door. And I thought the heavyset guy trying to push it was Santa. And I couldn't really watch him because I was sneaking around. My parents didn't want me to try to catch Santa. I wanted to catch him coming, in the chimney or however he does it. And so it was it was a little competition with my parents. I wanted to spy on them, but I didn't want them to see me. So I got a glimpse of what was going on down there. And I thought, well, that's Santa and he's bringing this thing in. I'll find out what it is in the morning. And it turned to be a piano. So that's
nice.
How we started.
Nice. And as someone who runs a paranormal podcast, I will say that we believe Santa goes through dimensions, but well, as far as we know, but who really knows? He's a mythical, magical being, and it's a mystery. It always will be, hopefully. But
true. And so basically, what kept me going was just I liked music in general. The music that my friends listen to on the radio and all that. And then I started, getting opportunities to get paid as a kid to play music, which were more money than I was making at my paper route. So I just figured, I'll just roll with this, it's something that I like to do. So I'll just keep rolling. I'll just if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing.
Exactly. Right. Don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's a good motto. All right. Well, have you and I like to ask this to musicians on this show, have you played along anybody that's world famous that we would all know the name of if you said it?
Well, I did started playing with well-known people when I got into college. I went to Boston, New England Conservatory, so not too far from you out there. And Let's see. I think the first well-known name I played was like a 1950s band called the Platters. They had some hits back in the 50s.
Yes, they did.
I've heard of them.
They still had one guy that was alive, and I was like kind of, the pianist for the Platters playing on these ships and the Caribbean and kind of stuff like that. And then I was in a big band that was also famous way back in the day called the Artie Shaw Orchestra. And
I've heard of that name.
yeah, he was, Artie Shaw, this is back in the day when musicians used to get paid the way that athletes get paid today. You know what I mean? So now you see this, this little kid with like a gun or whatever on the Memphis Grizzlies. He's getting like $195 million or whatever. He plays really well, but I mean, there are musicians that play their instruments better than he plays basketball, But anyway, this guy, Artie Shaw, was making like the super big money, like Michael Jordan kind of money back in the 1930s, whatever it was. So, that in those days, musicians got paid, super big money. I mean, I guess Led Zeppelin and those guys were making super big bucks, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of weird. It's like only now it's like, unless you're like, I don't know, maybe the Rolling Stones still get money, but they're in their 80s. I don't know. It's not the same. It's like, seems like, artists, it's like a disconnect now with the arts. But Artie Shaw was a big star, like a super big star back in the day. And then his big band, because they were so famous, the big band just kept playing and touring even when he was too old to play in it. So, and the other one in jazz, you might know this name, was Dizzy Gillespie.
That's more down. That's more down Chancy's line of music than mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've heard of that name for sure.
Right. So basically, I was in Boston, and I get this phone call, and I'm kind of in this almost like a frat house sort of roommate situation with some really wacky, crazy. You know how kids are in high school and in college. They're crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Animal House, like John Belushi kind of thing. So, we were always playing tricks on each other, and the phone rings. It's like the guy on the other end is like, "Hey man, I got to tell you something. My father owns this jazz club, and he just got shot." That's the first thing the person said. So I'm already thinking which one of my asshole friends is playing a joke on me. Says that my father got shot. And his best friend is the only person that I have to go by, and I got to run this jazz club, and we got these people coming in, and my father's best friend recommended you to call him to be an opening act for some of these acts. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I didn't like I wanted to just scream and yell, "You asshole, fucker, motherfucker," and hang up. But I couldn't because I didn't know for sure. I thought it was this guy we used to call the Royal Wino. He drank a lot of wine, played amazing trombone, and played pranks on people. So I thought it was, and that was his title. And the Kingdom of Fredonia was his little, we all had titles. I was the prime minister. We had this other guy who was the king. And the Royal Wino was the guy I wanted to kill for playing this prank on me. But like the guy's talking, and I'm like, well, I did used to call up this old man because he was like the only person that would talk to me, and he'd ask me about my music and what I was doing, blah, blah. Freaking thing was for real, and I ended up being an opening act and MC for Dizzy Gillespie.
Nice.
I mean, funny how things work out in life. It really is. But I mean, unfortunate circumstances nonetheless, but still.
Yeah. Then I played a lot of famous venues, but a lot of those I played either like in the house band or when I became a band leader and started, with my own records. I would play places like the Blue Note and, I don't know, well-known venues. There's a list of them somewhere, but, and traveling around the world and stuff, a lot of different countries, a lot of crazy stuff.
All right. Well, that's impressive. I mean, I was looking at your website. I'm like, wow, this guy has been around the world and he's done stuff that I can only dream of doing him. I mean, to work on a cruise ship is always been one of my dreams. I mean, I a little bit less now than when I was a kid because I've heard horrible stories about how staff get treated on those things. But
well, that's the thing. A lot of times musicians, they finally get on a cruise ship and they're like sleeping in the basement, with like some kind of a, you know what I mean? Like all kinds of weird, they can't like do this, they can't do that. They have all this protocol. But when I was with the Platters, we were on the like the star deck, You know what I mean? With like Wolfman Jack and these other like top entertainers. And the crazy thing is, I had never played a note with the Platters. They called me because the piano player had a problem with his visa. So they fly me down to Miami, and I'm waiting for like some little car to pick me up, and they're like, "Hey man, your freaking ride is out there." I said, "There's the only thing out there is a stretch limousine. Where's my ride?" They're like, "That's your ride, dude. Get it." No, I get a I never played a note with them. I'm like, what if I screw this up? You know, I'm in a stretch limousine. But that's what they had. You know, that's what they provided to those people. You know, it was like a '60s cruise or something. Beatlemania was on it, and you know, I'm at a press release. I'm like, when am I even going to play with these guys? And then we're like traveling around, you know, so they only want us to do one show on one day. And the other poor musicians in the band, you know, some of them are as good as me, maybe, I don't know, maybe better. And they're like struggling, you know, they got to play 3 sets a night in a dance band and, you know, sleep downstairs. We're on the star deck. So it just is what it is, you know. Fortunately, they were very happy with, you know, the way I played their show and all that. And then they called me for other stuff. But the reason I traveled a lot is because I started something called Jazz for Peace. And I started that on 9/11. And I started doing concerts to help outstanding causes all around the world. So that's where I started to go to places like, you know, I had been to some places now just with my own stuff. Like I'd been to, you know, Brazil, Bolivia, lots of places in Europe. But then I started going places like the south of India, Nepal, Africa, lots of times to Africa, Pakistan, just all kinds of crazy places and crazy stories associated with all of them.
Incredible. Well, we may have you back on someday, and I actually would love to see what album you actually would bring that like meant something to you or like inspired you to be a musician. Like I would love to hear that. Like so,
we might do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. The only reason I'm kind of doing this, I propose this thing, is because I come up with crazy ideas, and the crazy Jazz for Peace. Everyone thought I was crazy. Now people are like you are like, whoa, man! I saw like I'm on a lot of podcasts because people like see what I did with it. But my crazy idea right now is to free Julian Assange, which I know sounds crazy, but I just think who the hell's going to do it if I don't? So. These free improvisations, they're all titled Free JA. I call them all Free JA, and they're listed by number. And I'm up into the 80s now with these pieces. And I'm hoping, like with Jazz for Peace, with the benefit concert series, after I hit my 100th, people start taking notice. Like, oh, this guy, this isn't a drop in the, you know, this isn't a flash in the pan or whatever they call that. You know what I mean? He played 100, you know, maybe this is real, you know? So I'm hoping maybe someone will take me seriously.
Get some traction.
Maybe. But, you know, after the 36th performance, and I doubt it had anything to do with me, but I'd like to think so, but I doubt it. But anyway, the New York Times did join the movement, and the New York Times is on board with, you know, freeing Julian Assange. And they brought like 5 other media outlets with them around the world.
Yeah.
Big media outlets. So there is, you know, a bunch of people. And I mean, you probably know about that guy in Pink Floyd, Roger Waters is on.
Right.
There's a whole list of people that are on board. So, you know, A, I'm not alone. That's a good thing, you know. And B, under the radar is not it's not a bad thing to be under the radar sometimes. You know, it's like, you know, I'll be dodging the bullets easier, you know what I mean, or whatever. So, but
exactly.
Anyway, so that's part of the reason I get to continue the, you know, whatever it is, continue the
fight the good fight.
The what? The fight. Yeah, fight the good fight.
Fight. Yep, fight the good fight.
You're right.
Yep.
You're absolutely right.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I totally had to Google who Julian Assange was because I didn't know the name off the top of my head. But the WikiLeaks guy, that's how I know.
Yeah,
I knew.
A lot of people don't know. They're just, you know, a lot of people. Yeah, they're just not in touch with it, you know. But see, I mean, the thing for me is that I don't really know what the hell their reason is for all this. And B, the thing I do know about him is that, you know, he's protecting things like journalistic integrity, freedom of speech, you know, the bombing of innocent civilians. I mean, that's not cool. I'm not gonna, I mean, you know, if you attack a person who's reporting on the bombing of innocent civilians, you're going to get a whole lot of bombing of innocent civilians as nobody can report on it, you know?
Exactly. And those are a couple things I really do stand for. Freedom of speech. It's always been one of my biggest platforms because my mouth gets me in trouble a lot. So freedom of speech is one of those things I stand for.
I see both sides of the coin because I as well was very infuriated by that video in Iraq where they, where they took out the reporter and then that van full of people and everything like that.
Right.
But at the same time, I also understand what made it illegal in the first place is because private manning didn't follow the appropriate channels and whatnot. It sucks, but at the same time, I agree wholeheartedly that should have been, released to the public for transparency purposes. I mean,
well, the thing is, like, I think now I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding is it seems like the private manning thing, they're accusing her like it's not a slam dunk that she went through improper channels. I mean, she did steal some shit, I believe, or something, right? But
yeah, she was the one who gave that to Julian Assange for the
here's the problem. If you are a journalist, you can't say, hey, wait a minute, you can't give me slam dunk evidence unless you can guarantee that you didn't steal it or whatever. I mean, I think, that's on private manning, really. It's not, in other words, it's not Julian Assange's fault.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that.
I think Snowden stole some stuff. I don't think
for sure.
But I don't think it's the fault of the, the journalist.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think it was Assange's fault either. I just understand why the government was upset about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, understandably so. You don't, it's understandable, but I mean, it's a dual thing because you can't.
For sure.
You can't play both sides of the coin. You can't say,
right,
hey, we would never do that, and then
exactly.
But if you catch us doing it, you're going to kill you.
I mean, not to be a dead horse here, but I mean, as a paranormal podcaster, if the government told us everything that went on, I would never podcast. So there's got to be some secrecy always.
As a podcaster, that's what I love about podcasting is that these guys are able to, express themselves and say the kind of things they want, have the kind of, story that they want. All the podcasts are unique. They all have their own little theme. It's a great opportunity for you guys to do your thing.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, this podcast here is more about just music. I mean, that's we like to focus on the one good thing in life that everybody can access, and that's music. Well, everybody within most countries, I should say, because there are those countries that do ban music and like freedom of music. But in most countries, people, when they are really stressed out and they're having a bad day, like I did today, they can relate to music. I put on some Dark Half and Scum, and Chancy knows what I'm talking about, but you might not. But they help me get through hard times. But let's get into the first album here because I'm dying to hear. I'm dying to see how this episode's going to go, and I just want to see how it's going to go.
Okay.
And Chancy, since your album is the more well-known one by far, we're going to go with your album first. So what album did you bring, and why did you bring it, Chancy?
I chose the Slipknot self-titled album.
I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of leaves. I wander out where you can't see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of leaves. I wander out where you can't see, inside my shell I wait and bleed. Come on!
Because when I heard about the premise of the show, I was like, oh, I got to hear what he's going to be able to come up with when it comes to this. Because, like, literally the second song is just a barrage. Like, it's almost a ballistic barrage of percussion, just insanity encompassed in, like, it's 4x4.
Wild grooves, right? I mean, the whole thing starts out with this groove that's like, I don't know, it's kind of otherworldly, right? I mean, it's not your average garage band, throwing down you know what I mean? It's like a really, they have a unique, they have a kind of a unique throwdown, it seems to me.
I like how it flows from that very opening track straight into the second track, which is that track I was talking about with all the massive percussions and
sick. The second track on that CD
is
sick.
Yeah.
And I mean, Slipknot definitely has unique sounds. That's why and it's funny because they're from Chancy's home state, Iowa, and one of our podcasting friends actually knew them when she was younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she actually knew them before she was actually in one of their music videos. I can't remember which one, and I probably never could find her if I tried. But
we actually, her and I actually also used to work with one of their newest members as well before they got in the band. The Tortilla Man.
Wow.
And I actually saw Slipknot live myself back in 2019 before COVID. So I love Slipknot. So when Chancy wanted to bring this album on, I was all for it because I was just like, hell yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's by no means one of my favorite albums by Slipknot. That's for damn sure. But I mean, it's definitely iconic in their collection because they wouldn't be who they are today, and they wouldn't have made some of my favorite albums if they didn't make this album first. So,
well, I'm gonna play something thinking of their music, and then it's gonna go from there to I have no idea where.
Well, we love improvisation, so let's do it.
All right, let's see what happens.
I'm muted, but it's actually kind of, I could hear Slipknot on that. I kind of can. Like, if Slipknot put that kind of into their music, it would be like closer to the symphonic metal I listen to almost. So like I could hear it. Like I had the ear for that type of combination. But I don't know, Chancy, it's your album. What did you think?
I mean, I thought it was interesting.
I mean, it, like I could almost hear like Wait and Bleed. Like that's kind of why I heard over that is like Wait and Bleed.
I was gonna say it kind of reminded me something similar to if Jaco Pastori played piano rather than bass or something like that. Kind of had a bit of a Jaco feel to it.
That's interesting because I was watching a Jaco Pastorius documentary. I think it was either last night or sometime within the past 24 hours. I was checking out a Jaco Pastorius documentary that I hadn't seen. I didn't know about it, and it just happened to come out. I mean, I just happened to be online. I hadn't known much about it, but they had all these interviews with they had done all these interviews with Peter Erskine, the drummer with Weather Report, and the other guy in Weather Report, Joe Zawinul, and another bass player, Dave Carpenter, who had passed away, and just a bunch of these people, Paco Seri, a drummer, and they did all these interviews of people talking about Jaco, and they had little clips of him playing and all that kind of stuff. He was very.
Oh man, he was the best.
You know, I played a tribute for him once in New York, and his wife and his kid, who is now a bass player, and somehow I ended up in the car with like his wife and with like this, I don't know, the guy who arranged it or something. We were all together, and she just gave me like the, sometimes when somebody gives you the right compliment, you like go soaring, you know what I mean? And she just was like, I couldn't believe it. It was like Jaco's wife. And she's like, of all because I mean, Hiram Bullock was there. All these people played. And she was like, what you played was so unique. And it was so blah, blah, blah. And she just said these things to me that was like, do you know what I mean? It was like nobody could have said something so nice to me that night to me. It was like, I just wish I could feel that high for the rest of my life. I just felt it was just such a privilege coming from her. But I went back to Florida, and I've never seen his family since that night. Way back.
That's
in the
awesome,
90s.
though.
Yeah, it was at a place called Zanzibar, and it was some kind of a tribute to Jaco.
That's pretty awesome, though, that I picked that up and you were literally just watching it.
Yeah, because I probably know more about that documentary than I do about this band. I'd have to give it multiple listenings. I mean, what I got from the band, I mean, I got a taste of it, but like not as much as I know about Jaco, because there's so many people I played with that knew him and played with him and all that kind of stuff.
Right?
Yeah, I have so much lineage with that person.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Well, just because this is what we
Here's a funny story, by the way. So if you're familiar with Pat Metheny, the guitar player. All right.
I'm not, but yeah.
So there's a Pat Metheny record called Bright Size Life. It's a famous record.
Yeah.
And on that record is Pat Metheny, Jaco Pastorius, and the first drummer, the first well-known musician I ever played with in Boston. And his name was, the drummer was Bob Moses. And I played a gig with Bob Moses in Boston, who was the drummer on that record.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And just because it's the normal routine in the show, Chancy, what were the top 5 picks off your own CD that you had?
So I actually had 2 honorable mentions. One of the honorable mentions is Purity, and it's actually it's the song they had to remove it from the original releasing of the album. They had to re-release it without that song on it because it involved information regarding like a kidnapping and a murder. Number 6 is No Life. Number 5 is Liberate. Number 4 is Surfacing. Number 3 is Spit It Out. Number 2 is Eyeless. And number 1 is 742617000027.
Yeah, and I know Moose. He's a son of a bitch for picking the intro. But
/6, so I put 1 and 2 together.
There you go. That's a little better. And I actually didn't listen. I didn't listen to the special edition of this CD, so I didn't realize that Purity. Oh, and apparently someone agrees with you.
I knew she would.
Well,
But for actually, Purity at one time was on the original copy of the self-titled album. It wasn't like they brought it back for the 10th anniversary edition.
Well, I didn't listen to the special edition of this album, so I didn't realize that Purity was on the album we were supposed to listen to. I listened to the original release of it.
I just added it as an honorable mention because of the fact that it should have never have been removed from the original album in the first place.
No, it shouldn't have, because I fucking love Purity. Like, that's one of my favorite Slipknot songs by far. Like, that's a classic, and I didn't realize it was originally supposed to be on the CD. Even like, I downloaded my music back then on Napster and LimeWire, so I never realized like
that was how I heard it. That was how I heard it the first time too.
I never had these full CDs like until I was way older. But all right, well, I have to add Purity as my number 7 then, because I had an honorable mention to begin with. But my other honorable mention, though, as Jamie so cleverly put it, is there for humor reasons, because I always heard as when I was younger as liberate bananas. Like I always thought it was a Minions song, like kind of thing, like almost. And Jamie agreed. She says liberate is never eat my bananas, and she said she'll never rank the CD because all are number 1 to her. But
yeah, dude, I basically pulled a Jeremy on this. Like, there is no numerical system to mine. Those are just the songs that I chose to write down.
Well, she's excited now because she can't pick this episode for the CD for a future episode, so she says she's winning. But I mean, and my number 5 was Surfacing, because honestly, I can't say I love this whole CD. Like, there's a lot of songs in this I just could live without. Like, that's just my opinion.
Well, that's understandable.
But number 4 was Me Inside, because that's one song. I don't know if I've ever heard that song even, but it's
a good one.
It's a good song, yeah. Like, and number 3, of course, is Spit It Out, because that's one. The rest of these are all classics I heard before, but Spit It Out is number 3, of course. Number 2 is Sick. Number two is 100% Sick, because
for sure
you can't kill me because I'm already inside you. Like, that's deep. That's some.
Well, I mean, also you forgot in Surfacing, you can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes. I mean, that's awesome, dude.
I kind of get that, but and then number 1, of course, is the most famous track from this CD, I believe, in my opinion at least, and that's Wait and Bleed. Because that's one of the first Slipknot songs I ever heard, and I love Wait and Bleed. Like, it's just classic. Like, it's just classic. I mean, there are other CDs they've done where I could say I love the whole thing, but those are all pretty much 2008 and later. So, like, it's just I liked what Slipknot became more than what they started as. And I mean, it's my style of music 100%, but just And I listened to this whole CD on the way home and freaking loved it. But I mean, I started on lunch, but I finished on the way home and I freaking loved it. But I mean, it's the earlier stuff is just not 100% me. I can't get into it. I never could. And Jamie says, literally listening to all in order of the CD, I absolutely love it. The deep lyrics, as you literally just said. Wait and Bleed became a radio signal release because it Spit It Out has a great moment every concert they perform. Oh, but Spit It Out. And I agree. I mean, I don't think they played Spit It Out when I saw them live. I honestly don't think they did. But I mean,
they usually play it at the very end.
Oh, if me and my wife left before the encore because we had to get home to the kids that her father was watching, so we left before the encore. But maybe my cousin did say. I think he did say "Sick" and "Spit It Out" were the encore. But
yeah,
which I could believe. I mean, and that because that's when the mosh pit started, according to my cousin. Because there was no mosh pit the whole time we were there, and then like he said, as soon as we left, like the encore started, and that was like the mosh pit. But so, and yeah, she said it's a moment where everyone gets on the ground. Which I'm sorry I missed it. I'll see you again someday, Slipknot. I promise. But that's gonna bring us to the next. Well, let's now bring us to my CD.
The writing's on the wall. Will you go on and fool yourself? In no time you'll be done. Refusing to adjust yourself to the flow. Why walk the stony road? You won't get on alone. Nobody understands it, do you? Come in and look around. Every single stroke they say was worth the pain.
Which the CD I wanted to bring for this because, well, once I knew what Rick's plan was, I wanted to bring this CD because I was trying to think of a CD that has some kind of piano on it already because most of the CDs I listen to do have pianos on already in some degree or another, or keyboards at least, which is a close second to piano. And this CD, well, I wanted to bring it for Rick because I wanted to hear what he did with it, but I also brought it for Chancy because he heard the Avantasia does trilogies of CDs basically, and like their CDs have storylines over them all. And he's heard the first CD in this trilogy, Ghost Lights, when Amanda was on the show. And my dogs sound like they're hitting bongs. I wish they'd be a lot freaking calmer if they did that. Thank you, but puppies, I love you, puppies, but you're a pain in the butt. But yeah, they do trilogies, and Chancy heard the first one, Ghost Lights, when Amanda was on the show way back in like last summer. So I wanted to bring this one mainly so Chancy could hear the third one eventually. Their newest release is the third one in this trilogy, but I forgot how good this CD was until I listened to it again. Like I literally forgot how good the CD was when it first came out. I couldn't really dig it. Like I liked a couple of the tracks, but I really couldn't dig the whole thing. That changed today. That changed 100%. It's like it just changed completely, and I love this CD now. Like it goes right along with every one of Avantasia's other CDs, which is incredible. Like they are just an amazing band. They're a supergroup. For those who don't know, and those who haven't heard me explain it before, they were formed by Tobias Sammet from Ed Guy. They're a UK band. Enough, you monkeys. And they're a great band because they bring together so many great artists. I mean, the lead singer of the Scorpions, the lead singer of Mr. Big, like all these American artists or European artists too, have done work with Avantasia. Like Alice Cooper was on an Avantasia song. So I mean, they've worked with a lot of big people in America and in the UK, and supergroups are always amazing to me. And this one just always takes the top. I love them. Like they're just, and they speak about life, but like life in a spiritual way as well, which is great. So that's why I had to pick this CD, because it was just two reasons, but I also wanted to hear what Rick would do with it, because they lay the line out for you, but let's see how you improve on it. 100%. Let's see how you improve on it. And
I mean, it seems like, like it got some. It's like power piano with some, really, just really impressive vocals, right? Power, like this smashing piano with vocals, and they're just coming right out. They're coming like they jump right out of the box at you,
Exactly. I mean, they know what they're doing at this point. They've been performing for 20 plus years. So they as a super group, Tobias knows who they are. He knows they have a following, so they can go where they want now instead of just playing like classic symphonic metal about Knight's Quest and stuff like that. So they can go in the more weird realms now, and that definitely makes it a better album.
All right.
Yeah. I'm dying to hear what you have.
All right, let's see what I got. Living inside a daydream.
Mind freaking blown at that one. Oh my god. That I could hear Avantasia singing that song for fuck's sake. So oh my god, like that's incredible. Wow. Chancy, what did you think of that?
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Damn, I gotta ask, have you ever actually released albums like of your own music?
I do. I have 7 CDs under my own name.
Nice.
And then, then they stopped. They stopped, then the record stores all closed and they went to streaming. And, it's a tough thing because you can't really put out albums because, how are you going to sell them? First of all,
Right.
I didn't even like when they went from albums to CDs. So they already had me pissed off. You know what I mean? Because I still like the old albums. They should have never left that format. And then they went from CD to streaming, which kind of, how are we gonna put out records and sell them if people can stream them, But I don't know. Maybe some people are still able to do it. But yeah, I was, up until the streaming thing, I actually had 7 albums out, and then I had appeared on some other albums. It's weird. I'm on a all-star Brazilian All-Stars. I'm on a CD called Brazilian All-Stars, but I'm not even Brazilian. Everybody else is hardcore Brazilian, but they thought I was, because I was in the Brazilian scene at that time, and I was playing with all these Brazilian bands, and people just thought I must be Brazilian myself.
Mistaken identity.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind. It was kind of flattering, because I must be playing the shit correctly if they thought I was one of them.
Right.
I was one of their all stars.
Well, I love that original. That was something that sounded like something. Even the lyrics sound like something that Tobias would write. So.
Mm-hmm.
I 100%. Damn. I won't get over that for a while, I don't think. But Chancy, well, this CD I had 2 honorable mentions for this CD as well. The first honorable mention, yes, Chance, I put as honorable mention, just not to, because I didn't want to piss you off and because it's too many other good songs for this one to be in the top 5. But the first honorable mention is Maniac, because I love their cover of it. I forgot they did, honestly, until I got to that song. And I was like, oh yeah, they did do a cover of this. And
that's funny.
Avantasia is not huge for covers, really. Like, it's not their thing. A lot of symphonic metal bands I know do a cover every CD because it's just a way of paying respect to greats. But still, I don't remember them doing this, and I love that cover though. The other one was Book of Shallows, because I love Book of Shallows. See, this is another CD though where there's tracks I could do without. Like, I could skip over them if I wasn't trying to listen to the whole CD in one hit. But number 5 was Lavender, because the lyrics, this song is very lyric heavy, like Slipknot. This Avantasia is very lyric heavy, and their music's great, but it's a lot about what they're saying as well. And yeah. Lavender, the whole line of Lavender, I wish I didn't have to see now what back then I didn't see. It's all about regrets in your past, and I can fully back behind that. There are so many things in my life that I could see now that I wish I didn't. Because either I wish I could have seen him then, or I wish I didn't see him at all. Because it's bad memories. That's all it is. That's what it's about. But number 4 was Starlight, because that song is not even it's got good lyrics, but it's not like a lyric heavy song. It's just it's more a music song, because when their guitar keyboard combos are always amazing. They know what they're doing with that stuff. Number 3 was the title track, Moonglow, because it's just such a good song. Number two, number one, like hit me heavy though. Number two is Alchemy, because it's all about redemption. It's why people got into alchemy in the medieval ages, because you set out on the losing end and it's going to make you whole again. Like you go to try to find what you lost and it'll make you whole again. Like it's simple but brilliant the way they write it. I know, Munchie, right? And number one was The Raven Child, because that's always been the song in this album that stuck out to me. So many parts of it, but I mean, the line, "Sorry, I've been living a lie, a lonely heart, and an endless life." Like, a younger me can relate to that so hard. Like, and I still think about my younger me all the time. So a younger me can relate that so hard, because I lived a lie for a long time, just the lie of being happy. And that's just, so many people live that lie and they don't understand they are living that lie. So it's just like, that hits heavy to me, like so heavy. And plus at the end of that song, when he gets really deep with it, when the singer gets really deep with his voice and like does the whole part, like the whole story of that song is just freaking incredible. Like, and just the way they sing it, like I love when they go back and forth between like the slow tempo and the fast tempo. Avantasia does that so well. And like, spreading your wings, trying to find your way. Like, it's life. They sing about life, and that's what I love about it. Like, it just, plus it reminds me of Icarus, the Flight of Icarus by like Iron Maiden. It kind of reminds me of that song in a way. Am I wrong, Chancy?
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah, I can hear it now that you said it.
Like, I mean, and everybody knows the story. Anybody who knows mythology at all knows the story of Icarus, and it's a very, it's basically a story just to tell like a moral, like don't fly too close to the sun because you're going to get burnt. Like, that's the basic moral of it. And Raven Child kind of hits on that in a way as well, but not in the same way. But I love this CD. I mean, it's not as good as their newest one, which actually the newest one has my theme song for my other show on it. So I definitely use that CD twice a week. So, but Chancy, what were your top five? I'm dying to hear, because actually, what did you think of the album, Chancy? I haven't asked you that.
Honestly, I mean, for what it was, I enjoyed it. You know how I feel about that kind of doom metal-y, feely stuff, but it wasn't as bad as some of the other ones. It had good riffs and it had good tempo. Some of the lyrics were really impactful and the melodies were always good. There wasn't anything sour or bad.
I mean, it's their newer stuff. A lot of the stuff you heard,
yeah.
Some of the stuff you heard was older stuff. Some of the stuff you heard is their newer stuff. But I mean,
right?
I think this is the third CD of theirs you heard, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think you're right. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was Ghost Lights and the Scarecrow. But
number 5 was Starlight. Number 4 for me was Requiem for a Dream.
It's a good song.
Number 3 was Maniac.
I can't believe you put a cover in your top 5. That's hilarious.
I know, right? Number 2 was The Raven Child.
Oh, okay. Now I'm really curious about what number 1 is.
The Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
I had a feeling because I wanted to put that song on the list so bad, but I just couldn't. I couldn't knock any of the other great ones down, and just you know me. If I get going putting every song on the list, eventually every song is gonna be on the list. So I had to.
Yeah.
I've been trying to control myself these last few episodes or last 10 episodes and like not do that. So I mean, because the whole CD is just incredible. Like, everything they do is incredible. Avantasia is just such a good band. Like, supergroup. I mean, they're called supergroups for a reason, because they're super. Like, they are just super. Like, it's corny, but it works. Like, that's what they are. They're super bands. Like, they take the best talent from other bands and they use it. I mean, they use guitarists. They use guitarists. They use drummers from other bands that are amazing. They use singers that are amazing. I mean, Jorn Lande, who has been on a lot of Avantasia albums, like, any song he's on, I know it's going to be good. Michael Kiske, any song he's on, I know it's going to be good. Like, I know a lot of these songs are going to be good based on who is on them. Like,
yeah,
it's the way it goes. I mean, Michael Kiske's voice, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's in The Raven Child. Like he's the deep voice. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Any song that he's on Avantasia is amazing. And okay, now I gotta know what the hell he's from because I know the name of the band. I just can't freaking think of it at this moment. Oh yeah, he's from Halloween and Gamma Ray. Yeah, okay.
Halloween. I knew I could recognize him from somewhere though.
Yeah, he's from Halloween and Gamma Ray, two German bands, and he's an amazing singer. Like I honestly had to give Halloween more of a chance because I never can get into
Halloween's not bad for that kind of metal, like that genre. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That 90s German power metal.
It's more 80s, but yeah.
I mean, am I wrong on that or?
A lot of Halloweens.
Oh, no, he started Halloween in '93, so it was '90s.
Really? Was it '90s? I could have thought.
You got to remember, Europe was a decade behind America in this music for a long time because of the Berlin Wall.
That's valid.
Like they were behind us for a long time in this type of music because of the Berlin Wall, and then once it broke, they started loving all the music we did, so they made their own versions of it. But honestly, I could do a whole episode on freaking that theory right there, But Rick, what do you think from the little bit you heard of Avantasia? What do you think of them? Because I mean, from a musician's standpoint,
the first thing I noticed was the quality. Like you could tell that they are skilled musicians. A lot of bands, you can tell that the guys they're good friends in high school or whatever, and they got in a band and they just, hung out in the garage and they sound so great because of their synergy, you know what I mean? But I mean, part of the reason these guys sound great is because the each of the musicians is at a very high level. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's two ways you can do it, right? One way is just sit there in the goddamn garage until the four of you, get that magical feel, get that vibe, and that's the way a lot of them do. But then, there are a lot of the super groups kind of started at some point, I think in the 80s. Labels kind of realized, hey, let's take John Wetton from this band on bass and put him with, Yes's keyboard player. And, they started doing that stuff and creating that stuff. And these guys are in between because I think, like, they're putting good players together, but they're also compatible. Like, they have, they like... like they want to play with each other, but they're also at a high, it's like a combination of the two. It's a combination of throwing good players together, but also people that are in sync with each other too. Like
they're enthusiastic to play with each other. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's like, I mean, it's funny. I told the story before in this podcast, but Avantasia got Alice Cooper to perform with them for one song, which is an amazing song. I don't think I brought that CD on yet. It may have been on the Scarecrow, that song. I'm honestly not too sure off the top of my head. But I mean, and then this other band, Arion, another super group, because Europe has a lot of super groups in this genre, but another super group, Arion, got so mad about it that Avantasia and them actually did an album together, which was called Lect. And basically, the cover of the freaking CD was, there's only like 4 tracks, but the cover of the CD was Arion versus Avantasia. And it literally had it literally had one each of like one track from each band on the CD, and then they had a song I believe it was called Elect that they both did together with Alice Cooper, and then there was a 4th song that they did together as well. But I mean, there's a lot of super groups I love. I mean, Arion is amazing. Trying to think of an American version of that. I just really can't. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of an American version of that. I mean, you never heard like
Hell Yeah was a super group because it had like Vinnie Paul from Pantera and the couple of people from Mudvayne and then the guy from Nothing Face, I think is what it was.
I never heard of them.
I mean, I could see Avantasia's music being used in an Avatar movie or something like that, in a movie by one of those guys.
I mean, that's the thing about symphonic metal is they basically, like, I've brought these. It's funny. I brought Nightwish, I brought Avantasia onto this show, and had people listen to them that never heard of them, and they like come back and they're like, "I freaking loved it." They're like, I never thought I would. Like, turned it on, I heard power metal, and I was like, "Oh God!" But then I freaking loved it once I heard it. Like, it's just. they literally could do movie soundtracks. Like,
yeah, it could. I mean, they could, or yeah, I mean, I could see a tune of theirs getting lifted for a soundtrack or something like that.
I mean,
it wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, Nightwish, which isn't even a supergroup, but it's just a symphonic metal band from Finland. They actually did a movie off one of their albums, and the movie is just a lot of the movie is there's one song they did that's in the movie, but the rest of the movie is just like their orchestral work, and it's brilliant. Like I watched the movie, like it's hard to find. If you want to try to find Imaginarium, go find it. It's a hard movie to find. Like I had to go on some internet website, I don't even remember, to try to find it and listen to it, but it's an amazing freaking movie, and like the one song they put in is an amazing song, but the whole orchestral part of it is amazing too, because it's Nightwish. I mean, people always hate on me because I freaking say that European metal is better than American metal by far, but it's because they have these dynamic sounds that American metal just can't match. They just don't match it. I mean, they don't even try. Like they don't hit like these notes that these European bands hit. I mean, I love American metal. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Disturbed, freaking Papa Roach. I mean, Pantera. There's so many bands in America I love, but European metal is my favorite by far. Like I'll go to that before I'll go to freaking American metal because it's just more iconic in my mind. It's more iconic. Like, yeah, you may know Down with the Sickness by Disturbed because everybody in America knows it because it was a video on MTV for like a year. And because it's been in movies and whatnot. But like you go to this European metal and it makes Down with the Sickness look like children playing instruments. Like that's literally what it looks like. I mean, I'm not putting it, I'm Disturbed. If you ever hear this, I'm not putting you down by any freaking means because you're incredible and I love your music. To see you in concert would be amazing. But if you want to invite me, I'll do it on the show. Come on now. But still, it's amazing. Like it's amazing. It's all amazing music, but it's a preference. Like it sounds like it's a movie soundtrack to me. You're doing your job right. Which some Disturbed songs sound like that. They do. But I mean, just these bands in Europe release album after album of these type of songs, and it's just amazing. Like, and they have synergy. The whole album has synergy. A lot of American metal bands don't have that. Every song sounds different in their albums.
Right.
I mean, you listen
I've
to
been to Finland twice.
Lucky man.
That's where that band's from, right? Finland? You said the one you were talking about?
Yeah, Nightwish is from Finland, yeah.
I'll tell you something weird. I played for the president of Finland once.
Oh, shit.
Who was a woman.
Well, I mean, more power to them then, but yeah.
Well, I was brought over there to play for I've been there twice, but the first time was to play for that, like they had the jazz awards, the country's jazz awards, the Finland jazz awards. So me and my trio, which were a couple of kind of high-powered musicians playing with me, from an album I had that came out called Thought Provoking. And they brought us over to play. They had the jazz awards, and we were like the featured band or something in the awards ceremony, which is in this big hall, right? Hall of Culture. It was like amazing hall, like a Carnegie Hall type of place. So we played a couple tunes there, and then they added this other thing. They added it to the program, and it was just the next day. And all it said on my schedule was Presidential Palace. That's all it said. And so I'm like, wow, there must be a bar called the Presidential Palace. It's got to be a joke, right? There's probably a bar there that they call the Presidential Palace, and they're going to have a party or something, and we're going to play a few tunes at that. That's what I thought, because then no one briefed me about anything. And the next thing I know, they're like, now we're picking you up to take you to the thing. And they take me through checkpoints and this, that, and the other. And next thing you know, I'm at this freaking presidential, like the White House of Finland. And they bring us like downstairs in like a basement. And they had like a spread for us, whatever, sandwiches, this, that, and the other. And while I was down there, like someone came down and wanted to talk to me. And they said, the president was just like if you could sing something by Frank Sinatra as part of the show, part of your set. The president. I didn't know who the president was. And so I did. I threw the song in. And I said that the song was a favorite song of my parents, blah, blah, blah. So now on the break, they come over and say, the president would like to give you a tour of the palace, the presidential palace. And then I find out it's this woman. And so it's me and this woman and her bodyguards, you know, and she's just giving me a tour around the palace. There was a waterfall in the place. It's like inside, they had an indoor waterfall.
That's awesome.
In one of the rooms, yeah. And yeah, she's just saying all this stuff to me, how she, you know, she likes the same music as my parents and asking me questions about my parents. I thought she was using me to get party with my parents, actually. And then we had another set, you know, because they had turned the living room into a concert hall. And then we had another set, and then we were playing an encore. And when we went to play the encore, by this time everyone, you know, she was bombed. And we're trying to figure out what to play, and I'm like looking at the musicians like, hey man, what should we play? And all of a sudden I hear out of the audience, you know, play something of which your parents would love. And it was the drunk president asking me to play another song that my parents would like, because that's what she likes, you know what I mean? So it was a funny story. The other time I was there was with Jazz for Peace, my organization, and I was trying to help I was trying to help a saxophone player, because, you know, in Europe, what happens is a musician in Europe has a very hard time of getting international recognition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they don't really recognize you outside of your country that much, you know? So it's kind of like a hero in his country, but wasn't well known in the other countries. Like nobody knows about him. But then when I went there to do that, I kind of got in trouble because, you know, like Helsinki, they want to control the jazz delivery. You know, they looked at me as someone who was like muscling. It was almost like a drug dealer muscling on the other drug dealer's turf. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, because, well, actually, two of my favorite bands are from Finland, Lordi and Nightwish. But, I mean, and Nightwish does some jazz stuff here and there, but they don't, it's not their thing. Like, they do some songs in it, but they stay away from that style a lot. Like, it's just.
But
like,
they're well known, you say, in other countries, right?
Oh, I mean, they're huge in America now. Like, they got to fall. Like, bands from Europe in the 2000s, when the internet got big, started getting a following in America. Like, a lot of the bands I like that are from Europe, Finland, Germany, England, like, they have huge followings now because of the internet. Like, people would never. Avantasia, Nightwish, Lordi, just to name a few. I can't even think of more at this point, but just to name a few, never would have got a huge following if it wasn't for the internet. Like,
okay, interesting.
People downloading their songs on LimeWire and stuff, and like hearing them, and just like, or like me going into FYE and picking up one of their CDs because the cover art's freaking incredible, and they just listen to a couple tracks on the freaking sampler, and it's just like, oh my god, what is this magic I just found? And I mean, that's how I found Lordi. That's Avantasia I found because they're recommended to me on something on iTunes, I think, because of Nightwish. Okay. So I mean, a lot of my bands I found are through other bands, but because they're recommended and I gave them a listen, and was like, I think like Avantasia the Scarecrow is the first track I ever heard by them. It was freaking incredible. Like, I was like, I never knew music could make me feel this way. Like,
wow.
I mean, European music has changed my life, like, for the better, I would think. I don't think it's for the worse, for sure. I mean, it improved my musical taste a lot. Like, because before that, I only liked American bands like Slipknot and like Pantera and like Godsmack and all those bands that like are huge in America, but I never really heard of European music, and they opened my eyes to a world of music, and just never looked back. And that's why I want to start the show, is to get bands like this out there into the mainstream so people can hear them. Because pop culture in America, pop music in America is fucking horrible.
I know. There's so much bad music released in America. I mean, it's like you can't even. It sounds like just like one guy in his garage, even, right? A lot of the rap or whatever, they sample something.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest issue nowadays is you don't got to be signed by a record label. I mean, yes, I love underground hardcore rap. I love underground rap. I listen to a lot of artists that people never heard of. But anybody can release a rap album from their parents, from the bedroom of the parents' house or from their garage. And you know what? It may sound decent, but if you don't have the talent, eventually people are going to realize it and you're not going to go anywhere. But some of these, I mean, I like some of these artists since before they got big and they made it, but I mean, still, it's not going to happen for everybody. And everybody shouldn't have the chance. I mean, it really shouldn't. Like, if a record label wants you to come in, like, as much as I hate this metaphor, because I hate the man. I mean, I don't hate the man. I hate his music to a certain point. Eminem. If Dr. Dre didn't hear one of his cassette tapes and say, hey, come to California, I want to sign you, he would never be as big as he is today. Like, back in the 90s, he never would have got as big as he was today if he was just recording in his garage, releasing cassette tapes. He would have just been stuck in Detroit. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, yes, a lot of great rappers came out of Detroit the same way, but, I mean, one of my favorite rappers, Insane Clown Posse, they got big because the people liked their music so much in Detroit. And then eventually they hit enough press from the shit they said and the shit they did that they got they got worldwide famous because of that. Like, once Disney banned them and they like got big and they were on MTV late, like at 2 a.m, like a lot of people who were up at 2 a.m. who were delinquents liked them. And I mean, I'm a juggalo, so I'm not gonna hate on juggalos, but I mean, it is what it is. You are who you are. Like, a lot of juggalos are just people that most people wouldn't want to associate with, and I'm one of them. But I mean, I ain't no criminal, but still, like, it's just people that you would normally wouldn't associate with, but they found family. That's what it is. To be successful in music, you need people who become a family by listening to your music. And that's how you get famous. Like, it's just, and I'm going off on a rant here that I probably shouldn't go on my show, but I mean, it is our show, but it is what it is. It is what it is at the end of the day. But Rick, before we wrap up,
some of the bands you listen to are from, like you say, Finland, but also what were you saying, like East Berlin or something?
No. I was comparing the Berlin Wall to when European music got big.
Oh, okay.
Right. Oh, well, no, to when European musicians started listening to American music more, and they liked what they heard, so they wanted to do the same thing.
Oh, okay. I got
it. Ed Guy and all these European power metal bands that came out in the 80s and 90s because the Berlin Wall fell, and they heard this music, and they're like, oh, I want to be like this. Like, this is the music I want to make. Like, Ed Guy, I mean, even Ozzy to a degree. I mean, Ozzy, I don't think was huge in America before that. Really, I mean,
that's not true.
But Ozzy got to America. He got to tour America before that. So
through Black Sabbath.
Yeah, for him there was a resurgence, right? Because he was.
Yeah.
He
had a resurgence in the 80s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it had to do with his wife. Because
all of it. And Randy Rhoads, yeah.
Right. Randy Rhoads, yeah. I mean, that was just, yeah.
I mean,
but you know what? His wife orchestrated that too.
Fuck yeah.
With the label, she was actually she was the rep for the label. That's how Ozzy met her in the first place. I mean, she's just she's a hardcore. She's a great business person to have on your side. But bottom line,
I mean, she is. She fucked over Insane Clown Posse at one point, so I can't say I have a lot of love for her. But
what did she do? She screwed over a band.
She screwed over Insane Clown Posse at one point because I forget the full story, but
right. Well,
I think she was.
My point. She's a good person to have on your side, but not against you.
I mean, I think she was working with Disney at the time on Island Records, and they signed to Insane Clown Posse, and then they took their album off the shelves. Like, it was like the
her
third CD.
Her father was a big music mogul, and he hired his daughter. So she had a kind of, you know what I mean? She had kind of a job, like she had a job she couldn't get fired from, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. And that's how she ended up, I think probably, she ended up somehow, involved with Ozzy for that reason.
Oh,
her father's daughter.
I also respect her to a degree because, like, if you read Motley Crue's biography, like, Ozzy was walking around the streets of England wearing a dress, pissing in the streets, and like she would come back and control him and be like, "No, go back to your room. Go back to your room now." And like he would listen, like so, like he needed her, like because otherwise he can barely talk now. For fuck's sake, I mean, imagine if
he's really in bad shape. Yeah, I think he's really just real down for the count. He's not. He's got issues. He's got health issues that are not gonna. I don't expect him to get better. I mean, I wouldn't hold your breath now. I mean, he's got serious health issues. But he did come back from. But the thing is, it all came together. I mean, he was out of it at the time, but he was he was young, he was talented, he could be revitalized. And she revitalized him, you know. And hey, man, he had already done some classic work. I mean, that record, Sabbath Buddies, Bloody Sabbath, you know. So it all came together. But I mean, without her, I don't, you know, who the hell knows who the hell knows what would have happened. I mean, he definitely needed her to, you know, bring the industry and the artists together.
Oh, I agree. I mean, he definitely needed her to calm him down, and because he was crazy.
Also the little things with biting the head off the bat and all that crazy stuff, that was staged. I mean, she kind of, I'm pretty sure she kind of, you know, knew what.
That actually happened in Cedar Rapids. That was here.
I think it happened first in a freaking executive room. Like he.
Oh no, that was he bit the head off of a bird. Yeah, that actually happened, and he like messed up the whole record deal and everything. But the bat incident was actually legit. Like it happened in Cedar Rapids. Somebody threw a live bat on there.
I heard about that.
Because he would do a gimmick where it was a gimmick bat, but
he actually
this one was
real, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was behind all of that, you know, utilizing the shock value. I mean, you know, she was all business. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah,
sometimes you need somebody that's all business to go with your music, you know.
Oh, you do need it. It works, but
right.
Well, before we get completely into a wormhole here, as I like to say in my other show, Rick,
yes.
Where can they find you? Where can they find Jazz for Peace? Where can they find everything about you?
Sure. So, jazzforpeace.org, just www.jazzforpeace.org gets you to Jazz for Peace. And if you see my name on the screen. So if you can spell my name, which is Rick DellaRatta, you can go to rickdellaratta.com. You can also if you want to just get random stuff, you can actually go on Google and type Rick DellaRatta famous quote. Because for some reason or other, I gave an interview shortly after 9/11, and I said something in the interview, and it just got lifted, and it ended up on all the famous quotes websites. So, like, it comes up on sites in Finland, Russia, all over the place. It's really crazy. But it's on there with, you know, Einstein and Gandhi and, you know, Tesla and whatever. But I guess it was like 15 seconds of fame in the famous quote world.
I mean, I think the only thing Tesla ever says, help, they're abducting me. But it's actually funny because I Googled you to make the artwork for this show beforehand, and the first thing that comes up is your website. But
okay, cool.
But your website will be, of course, in the description of this podcast when it releases. So
great.
People can find you, and I'll put the Jazz for Peace website in there too and everything. So they'll find you. Yeah,
and you can email if someone wants to send an email. It's just info@jazzforpeace.org. Just plain old info@jazzforpeace.org.
Yes, it is. I've been emailing that for about 2 weeks now, at least. So,
that's right.
But Chancy, where can they find you in your sexy beardness?
Well, outside of the Book of Faces, I can be found on Instagram and TikTok under the Red Eye Roundtable, and on Twitter as Red Eye Table, and here on Maniacal Music Musings, which can be found on YouTube and all the other places that you're about to tell them about.
Damn straight. And of course, you can find Chancy in the Void too, but you can find both of us on Facebook as Paranormal Normal / Maniacal Music Musings podcast with an S fake group. Name change coming soon. And you can find us on Twitter and the Gram as that Juggalo Bastard. You can find us on TikTok as that Juggalo Bastard podcast. And you can find us on YouTube as Maniacal Music Musings, where these episodes are released as they come out in podcasts. If you want to see us streaming live on YouTube, you could find us on Blind Knowledge Network, because we are all blind until we get knowledge. But until next time, we want to thank Rick for coming on, because it's been an amazing show. I didn't know which way the show was going to go, and I'm incredibly happy with the way it turned out. So I have no disappointments here at all. So thank you, Rick. I was nervous about tonight's show because it's not our usual format, and it's the first time we broke from that format, so I wasn't sure how it was going to go. But you know what? you opened my eyes that the way things could be different and they might be good. So we'll see how things go in the future. And we definitely want to have Rick back at some point. I want to hear an album that inspired him to be a musician. That's what I want to hear.
Okay, let's do that.
So,
yeah. Hey, it was a pleasure hanging with you guys. Really was. Enjoyed it.
Well, we enjoyed it as well. Chancy gave out the rock out sign, so he enjoyed it as well. And we will be back next week, musers. And thank you all for listening.
What grove, sacred grounds, fade to vastness. Mother Moon, cast your spell on these fields. Let the boughs paint ghostly shades on the trail to a different world, where the castle looks out to the valley, where I'm given all the love that I crave. Not afraid of the rising sun, laying bare my brittle soul. Cold is the wind, bringing forth clarity. Time rushing on, and nothing will remain. There's no glory on the lost journey. Looking down from this pure cup of heaven onto an ocean of white that drowns all the noise and the crazy and empty eyes. Wide-eyed and lost in my imagination, I dream of love I've got to suffocate while I keep on waiting for the hour I'll be called to realize and see it all before my eyes. The sky is crawling down the mound into the dark wood on the ground. I say specters flare and spin and rise to mingle with the skies and take all that's never meant to be. A fire in the dark, for the fool's gonna find his way, gonna run and never get away. Is it love that glows in fiery alignment? Story-eyed, may living a lie, a lonely heart and an endless line. Bewildering and strange, the scent of spring and cherry blossoms, sweet scent of rain. They're calling you, astounding how it is not the same it used to be when you're compelled behind the cradle on your own. The tolling of the bell, is there anyone to tell me what they want to say? Voices go on and on and talk to me, but their tongues won't permeate throughout my soul. Your altered state of mind, in vain you're chasing lies. Yeah. Your master in his frown, denial of the crown of creation. You're made to think you are a fire in the dark, for the fool's gonna find his way, gonna run and never get away. Is it love that close and far realignment? A fire in the dark, for the fool's gonna find his way, gonna run and never get away. Is it love that close and far realignment? Story I've been living a lie, lonely heart in an endless light breeze and the crowns of the willows, green fields as if the day was on the wane, grow faint and attain to perfection. What a backdrop for a diamond.